Welcome back to another video. In our last video, we have fetched the record from our database and we have printed into our console. So we will rerun our application and see whether it is working or not. And also I have given one small task for you to print one more elon in the log. So basically we will comment this and we will implement our new method, which will be objective of this video, to update a record. We will create a method called update and they'll pass our customer detail object. So we'll minimize the console and then we will implement this method. We'll come to our implementation class and then we will create our method. We'll override it first, @override, and then we'll have public void update. We'll pass our customer detail object and then we'll have our entity manager. Miss bracket entity manager not merge. Merge is a command which is used to update the record. And then we'll pass our customer detail object variable. Now we will come back to our entry point. We will create a new method which will be update customer details by ID, and then we will pass our customer DAO and then we will implement this method private void update customer detail, pass our DAO and then we will define our ID, for which ID are we going to customer underscore ID equals to 1, and then we will sys out fetching customer details with ID. What is our ID? Customer ID, and then we will get our customer detail dot find by ID. This is our existing method which we have implemented a couple of videos back. We will pass our customer ID and then we will print out name records are getting updated, and then we'll have customer detail dot set. We need to set what will be our new first name, so we will change it to elon, and then we'll call our customer detail DAO dot date method, and then what are we going to pass is customer detail object, and then we will just print out updated records are, and we are going to print our customer detail here. So now we will save it. Also we need to do one change, is that we are not going to update our elon to elon, right? We need to change ID to 2. So we'll change our ID to 2 here, and then so what it should does is that it should update from bill to elon. So now we will just run our application and see what happens. Yeah, you see there is an error. Now anyone can tell me what is the error? So no entity manager with actual transaction available for current thread cannot reliably process merge call. So if you remember right, if you haven't watched the video, you could go and watch our previous videos. So if you remember correctly, that whenever we are doing a search, find by first name or find all or find by ID, we haven't defined our one annotation which we have discussed, which is transactional annotation. So in save we have defined and we understood why we need transactional, and also explained that why there is a need of transactional annotation in Hibernate for save. And when we are doing find by ID, find all or find by first name, we are actually searching or querying, there is no need. But now we are doing update, so we need it because we are changing something in our database. But what will happen if the changes go wrong or some issue happen? So that's why transactional annotation help us at database architecture level. It helps us to roll back those changes if it is not fully committed. So now we will just rerun our application and see. Okay, we'll come also here, we'll see whether record, no, it is not updated. Just focus here. Now we will rerun it. Okay, now we have rerun our application and we have updated records. This is the whole list of updated records, which is first name become Elon, where it has to be Bill. So it is Bill now. Okay, our first name is Bill, and then we'll rerun it. Okay, it changed to Elon. Now we can test our previous video which I have asked you to work on it, because we can also write an insert query and updated it for us to test that fetch customer detail by first name. But let us do it now. We'll comment this and we'll uncomment our fetch customer detail by first name, because earlier you remember, right, there was only one Elon, and if you see here we are searching based on Elon. So now what we will do is that, and it was only printing one, so we don't know whether it can print multiple Elon or not, because there was only one Elon. Now we'll rerun this and we'll see what it will print. Perfect. So you can see that in database we have two Elon, and when fetching customer detail by first name there is no issue, because suppose sometimes what happen is that if we are only getting one record, it will throw you an error, because it is unable to convert a single object or single string into a list, and then it will throw you an error, because this one can be considered as one string return, but when you have multiple, then it considered as a complex object. So that's why we needed to try this out, that whether it is working or not. So it is working, and usually people do this mistake because initially it returned only one row. They hard coded it has to be dynamic, so it can return any n number of records. So now we'll just roll back it and we will uncomment our code. We'll change it back to Bill, because we don't need to duplicate data in our database, and we will rerun it and we'll see what happens. Okay, perfect. It has again changed to Bill. We'll come back to our database. Focus here. Okay, it has again changed to Bill. Now again rerun it. Rerun our fetch by customer and we will see what happens. Perfect. So you could see that now only one Elon is returned, because only one Elon is present in database. So we'll keep it that way, because we don't want, I think there's no point. We can also enable it, so because update will not have any impact, because we are updating the same record multiple times. See, we can run it n number of times, and that's the beauty of there is one concept in REST API, idempotent and non-idempotent. Will come those things in later videos. I'll not cover that because that is not part of this topic. So we see, we rerun it again and there is no impact. But there is one catch here, right? Right now I can run this n number of times. basically you cannot do this in cloud. Means, for example, because when you are using your database is deployed in cloud, right, you're paying for every transaction. So you also need to make sure that no one going to run your API or run your method multiple times, and that multiple times is having no purpose. So that's how you design a better application. Anyhow, that's out of the topic. We'll come to these things in future videos. But for now, also one thing here is, there is one thing we need to also understand, that we are updating records based on our primary key, primary ID or primary key, you could say that. But we also need to find a way to update the records based on customer detail ID, not with customer ID, not with primary key. Because sometimes what happens, not sometimes, many times what happens is that, but if you have seen AWS database or any other advanced database as well, or in MNC's bigger application, right, we never use this ID, because this ID is sort of very unique, and we never use this ID to update our record. We have one more ID which help us to updating our record if we need it. Okay, this ID is always unique, and you cannot anyhow we are not reading an ID, but we are using this ID because sometimes this ID is very unique, or hash code, or UUID, which is very complicated, and you will never know what that ID is. You cannot read it always. That's why we have one more ID where we use mostly to update or to search or any those kind of thing, and that ID is mainly maintained by the UI or any desktop application. So anyhow, we'll cover that, how to update a record based on either of the column. Means you can also update record if first name is Elon, I want to change my email ID, or maybe, for example, we haven't covered, right, that this is our customer detail table. We can also have one more table called address, and that is linked to this table. Means sign up customer detail and address as two different table, because address can have multiple field, and I don't want to increase the size of my this particular table. I don't want to have more columns. Then what happens is that we update. Elon wants to update his address. So how is he going to do it? So Elon, and also he want to update his email ID. So address is stored in one other table, and then email is stored in this table. So yeah, so many things will come in future. That's an advanced Hibernate concept. So right now we are only working with one database or one table, and in future we are going to work with multiple tables. So just wait and watch. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel. Thank you.